One thing I want to ask you, Jason, and I kind of know the answer to this, but for our viewers, every man faces a battle. Some are seen, some are unseen. What's the one battle that defined your journey the most to kind of get you where you are today from when you began this whole mental health journey that you're on now?
If I had to sum it up to one, it would be overcoming fear.
Okay.
You know what? Fear has destroyed me most of my life. It caused, I grew up very rough and really fast. My childhood was taken from me for sure. And, by the time I was in my teens, I was in all kinds of trouble. I was living on the streets. I was in street gangs. I was all over just all over doing bad stuff. And, all of it was I was driven by fear. I never felt like anyone liked me, and I always was so afraid that people wouldn't like me, and I was always so afraid that I would be different, and I was different, and I was afraid of everything, and I was such a scared little boy my whole life. And I grew up into this, man, and then I, started lifting weights and doing steroids, and then I got into biker gangs, and I'm covering tattoos, and people are afraid of me and all these things. And the whole time I was afraid. I was so afraid, Steve, like I was just this little scared boy. And so that was the biggest battle for me was I had to go back to that little boy and I had to go meet him where he was and tell him he was going to be okay. And the only way I could do that was by healing the man I was now. And so I had to go back and meet that boy and show him that I can protect him now. And then so getting over all of my fears was the only way I could do that. And man, the list was long. Like I was so insecure, and I came off so, this big tough guy and this, I was always the life of the party and I was always these things because I always had to prove. I always needed
Mhm.
that attention, validation, because I was so empty in here because I was ruled by fear.
Mm.
And so that battle, it took me to almost the end of my life, when I was 47. I'm 53 now. And so, at 47, when I attempted to end my life, the fear and the pain of that fear and the loneliness and that came from it almost won. And, like I said, by the grace of God, I was given a second chance. And that's when I just dove into learning, trying to understand how I could overcome all that fear.
I like how you put that. I actually had a therapist tell me the same thing. You need to go and go to that 5-year-old version of yourself and tell him that it's okay and that you're proud of him, you love him. But I like how you put you have to heal the grown version and then move towards the younger version. And Jason, I think a lot of guys that hit the weight room, that get tattoos, that kind of are drawn to that edgy lifestyle, it's almost like imposter syndrome. Um,
Yeah.
we've talked before in the past, I got tattoos to keep people away from me because I didn't want
Yeah.
anybody to get to know the real me. I tried to kill the real version of myself because I didn't like him. I would drink to be the life of the party, to be not an introvert, to be an extrovert, just to have courage to
Yep.
do stupid shit and talk to girls or
Yep.
whatever. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
guys can relate to that, man. I think a lot of guys actually choose
Oh, totally.
jobs because of that. I got to prove myself to the world that I'm not insecure, I'm not weak, I'm not a weird kid, which is what I always felt like too. It's we have so many similarities, man. It's crazy. That's what I love about, and that's why I loved your book because it's like almost
Yeah.
reading similar, similar stories. But I like how you put that.
Yeah.